signed by President Donald Trump. My guests are Yetunde Omede, Professor of Global Affairs and Director of the Office of Civic Engagement of Farmingdale State College. And from Pennsylvania, I'm joined by Joshua Masavi, Senior Fellow at the Hudson Institute. One of the executive actions implemented is a 90-day pause in U.S. foreign development assistance so the administration can realign aid towards Trump's foreign policy goals. Now, how will this affect Africa? If I may start with you, Yetunde.
Well, there are countries that are reliant on foreign aid from the United States, and pausing it for 90 days. I think what happens is that it gives the opportunity of countries and the United States to do a financial restructuring. There needs to be a review on financial foreign aid assistance, where it's going, what it's being used for. And I think countries are now put on aware in terms of, what does that mean? After that review process, will they continue to be provided with foreign aid assistance? Will it be canceled? And these are, I think, areas that will be taking into consideration when it comes to the decision that President Trump will make after that 90-day review.
Joshua, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that obviously will have a significant impact on the continent because the United States is by far the largest supplier of foreign assistance of this type. This springs from a concern within the administration, I believe, that about whether the aid is actually delivering a return for American taxpayers. The United States government, in their view, is not a glorified NGO. It gives aid because ultimately it should bring benefits to the American people. And so I think that's part of this review. I think as well there is concern around potential corruption, where in fact we know that there have been recent huge corruption scandals in places like Ethiopia. And it's likely, unfortunately, that there's other very widespread corruption in some of these programs on the continent. So that's also a concern to the administration. Yeah. So I think that's all will be part of this review.
It is something we hear from the ground. Even some of the Africans, especially youth, complain about the mishandling of the foreign aid that comes into their country. So they definitely will agree with President Trump for a need for restructuring and ensuring that there's accountability. In terms of the executive actions, again, the other order that was made was about ending birthright citizenship. Now, this is something that resonates with so many of the immigrant families, but maybe, Yetunde, if you can explain what this means. Some people may panic if they have kids who are born in the U.S. Who are the people being targeted or mentioned in terms of this birthright issue?
Look, the birthright issue is also a constitutional issue. And, there's a lot of conversation of the plan that President Trump has to end birthright citizenship, regardless if your parents are, if you are born in the United States. We are the only country that if you are pregnant and come to the United States and you are not the mother or father is not a citizen of the country and you are born here, there's this automatic birthright citizenship. And that is some of the things that he wants to cancel and revoke. But again, as a constitutional right, there's a lot of legal hurdles he's probably going to have to jump over. I don't see, that's a whole, I don't see that happening in the way that he has laid it out in the public. It's a very, hard process to try to now do an overhaul of a constitutional law. So we can wait and see, but his plan of ending birthright citizenship and it being protected by the Constitution is a very, very tough one to sort of undo.
Now, Joshua, we know that this doesn't happen in many countries around the world. You don't become a citizen of a country because you're born there. Your parents have to be citizens, or at least they have to stay there for longer. What is the historical background in the U.S. for having had this actually put it right into the Constitution?
Right. It is in the 14th Amendment, of course. And I think in part it's a reflection of the somewhat unique history of the United States as genuinely a country of immigrants. Everybody almost everybody in the United States is from somewhere else, or at least their parents and their forebears are at some point. That's certainly true of me. So I think this is part of that. Now, again, as Yetunde pointed out, this will be a legal battle. There's already been suits filed by a number of states, I think over 20 at last count, challenging the executive order. And the irony actually is this: the debate in the United States around immigration can be very heated and emotional, but the reality is U.S. actually has one of the most generous immigration and citizenship policies in the entire world. This is part of that. Again, the Trump administration is skeptical of whether all of these elements of our immigration system are good for the United States. And unfortunately, there has been abuse of birthright citizenship